Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Daily AI Show. Today is Thursday, September 11th. And today, the topic we're going to talk about is AI agents will change forever how we shop. I'm joined by Junmi, Anne, and Beth. I just want to thank Anne for being with us today. I know she has a really special event for those interested in AI, and we'll mention that later on in the show. But I really want to get into our topic today about AI agents changing the way we shop. And I think where I want to start is maybe a little bit theoretical, kind of, I don't want to say blue sky, but you know how like essentially the infrastructure of the web has been built for humans, right? We go to a site, interact, make a purchase, we do a search, we interact, we get to a site, make a purchase, people send us links. Social is still built for humans. You see something on social, you click, you go to the site, you make a purchase, and those kind of things. But what we're seeing is the ability of us to enable our agents to go out and make a purchase on our behalf. And essentially, that is not how the web infrastructure has been set up, right? All the advertising bypassed, all the gated content bypassed, how the web even is set up in terms of the user interface bypassed. So it's very interesting from a shopping perspective and an e-commerce perspective what that looks like. And another little point that I want to mention is that some of these major companies, I feel they're still treating it as if we're going to their site, but then we're going to use their agent. And it's a very interesting play because if I'm going to use my agent to bypass all the steps going to the site, why would I use your agent? Where it's inevitable they'll put some sort of caveats in there. You'll have advertising agents be like, oh, you're searching for, this particular bread. Did you know we have a sale on this type of bread, right? And you'll get some of that versus my agent. I don't get any of that. And I don't know which is better. So I'll just open the floor to that, and whoever wants to take the first shot at that.
Well, I think identifying, like what you identified early on, is how the web is not set up for agents to efficiently take advantage of the process and how it's built for humans. There was a couple of concepts that have been floating around for a while, and I've seen it creep up more and more, is people building out projects that specifically speak to agentic functions and agents in particular, so that there would be a human experience and an agent experience, right? And so the agent experience, agents don't, the efficient use of agents is not necessarily using something like computer use or like operator, right? Operator is great to use how the system is set up currently. It's a great gap technology, but it is not the best way for agents to go and find information, make certain certain functions or certain tasks to be completed, and then come back with results. There's far more more efficient ways of doing that. Now, a lot of that has to do with connectors and using MCP servers and things like that. But I wanted to highlight this this emerging build, or emerging, not necessarily a technology in and of itself, but a method, a system for creating an agent version of either a website or a knowledge base or some level of interactivity, which is going to be far more efficient in communicating the information, right? So right now we have search functions that go out, tools that agents or models will use, and go find information, extrapolate it, and bring it back, and present it for the user's query. If we can consistently identify all of those functions, then when an agent hits a site, they'll be routed to the agent version. Now, I think there might be some, bumps in the road or some barriers here because of the things that you talked about in terms of monetization, right? We have to have a big shift from just displaying ads along with the content or having paywalls, because that doesn't work necessarily for agents. They're just going to go either past a simple paywall or just ignore the ads and things like that. So we also have to address the new methodologies for monetization, and what's that going to look like. It could look like something that Cloudflare is trying to promote now. It might have to be something completely different, and might have to be at the more root level of identifying and monitoring actual data, stamp marking it, things like that, so that when it's grabbed, who grabbed it, and how that's going to monetize for you in the future.
So are we going to see like a prove you're an agent kind of CAPTCHA? Because then like in the presence of that, timing could be a total thing, right? Like have here's a 7-digit number multiplied by a 7-digit number. Ooh, you took more than a second. You are definitely a human, right? Like I mean, we have things that I think obviously show that you're an agent, that you're an AI, that you're something that can quantify really easily.
Right. Having a system. I don't imagine it'll actually be the same interface like the CAPTCHA, but totally having that way of if this then this kind of path. Right. I have a feeling it'll all be all back end kinds of things, where some have said using like LLM.txt or the robots.txt file. That's a weak protocol to build it off of. But the concept of go here if you are an agent, and go here if you are a human. Yeah.
And it could all be in one language.
Oh, right? Yeah, absolutely.
It could be in the most efficient language possible, which I'm guessing is not English. Yeah. And I'm curious what you're thinking about this. And you are muted.
Thanks. I've been thinking about the journey for the customer and the impact on the bigger, broader economy, and what it's like if, say it's confusing in the beginning. So people are going to have to probably, for shopping, figure out how to use agents, right? They're going to start testing their comfort with the risk, with their personal data, if that's even on their radar, which I would guess probably, I don't know, I'm going to say 80% of people, it's probably not even on their radar, but maybe I'm being pessimistic. So what's it going to be like as they get accustomed to it? How will they know to make decisions about whether it's their agent that they're using or the company's agent that they're using? And then what's the impact of having less friction for buying shit? Like, what happens? Does that mean we all buy more stuff and help the economy that way? Or does that mean that we stop buying, we slow down because it's so uncomfortable for us? I was trying to think about how we adopted mobile banking or online banking. Is it going to be like that, where we like, I feel like most of us wondered, what is this going to be like when we start putting our account numbers onto the internet? And now are we going to go through a similar thought process, decision process, or is it just like we're a frog in water and we're just the water's just boiling and we're not even noticing it?
Yeah, no, interesting take. Go ahead.
I wanted to play a video that I played a little while back, and I think, and this will add to the complexity of what you just mentioned too.
Awesome.
So there it is. Okay. So this is the Visa CEO in May talking about AI-enabled Visa credentials and for your agents. Important to listen, and then we could have. I'll just go into more and what Anne was just talking about.
So first of all, we're all going to have agents, and they're going to be able to go out and scour the world's inventory and find what it is that we're looking for, either for ourselves, maybe it's tickets to a hard-to-get concert, or as a gift, you know, a hyper-relevant gift for my wife for Mother's Day. And what we've announced is a set of tools that give agents the capabilities to go make payments on your behalf. Think of that as AI-enabled Visa credentials. And also the rules and the capabilities that will provide trust. Trust that consumers will have in their agents, trust that merchants are going to have that they're going to get paid, and trust that financial institutions will have that you've actually empowered your agent to make those purchases on your behalf. So we announced AI-enabled Visa cards. That's going to allow you to give your agency, giving them your Visa credentials to go buy something on your behalf. But we also announced important capabilities, things that enable you to set parameters and tell your agent how long do you want them to go look for something, maybe those concert tickets we were talking about. How much are you willing for your agent to spend? Even to designate specific merchants that you want your agent to go look at and not go look at other merchants. So it's the products, it's the capabilities that are going to give you and everyone else trust that your agent is going to go buy exactly what you're looking for on your behalf.
Okay, so a couple key things there to expand on. One is the term of agency, right? Are you going to allow your agent to just make the purchase on your behalf? Is there gonna be touch points along the way where I looked at, are these the brands you want me to look at? Yes or no? Or I'm gonna plan to spend $250. Is that within your range? Or do you want me to make multiple purchases or just one purchase? Or do you want me to, I don't know, like find the best deal or find the most expensive deal or find the one with the specific thing that it's connected to, something like that. And then what's really interesting is if you just say, hey, I only want you to look at these 3 brands, there's the whole type of marketing and sales in that is suddenly compressed to just those 3 brands because your agent isn't going to go out and go, you know, like all the things that people do in terms of Google AdWords, all the advertising and whatnot, that goes out because, you know, you have to kind of do it before they actually think of making the purchase because you better be top of mind because if you're not, then the instruction to the agent is going to be local, you know, very, very specific. So that's just even more complex to what Anne was talking about.
I could see this becoming like a buying club, Anne, like Instacart. Like it is worth it for me to have someone else go to Costco and walk the warehouse, and I'm willing for tomatoes that don't smell as good or taste as good as if I went to the store. Like that's not worth the warehouse walk for me in that kind of convenience. But I can imagine, Carl, a next move for Costco is sort of the pre-sell before you make kind of thing. How many of you are interested in the new iPhone, right? Like how many of you want to want a new iPhone that I believe may break if you put it in your pocket and sit down, but okay. But like that kind of thing where you can see that there's going to be a large amount of demand, but you want to make sure. And so your agent is authorized to pre-purchase in that kind of way. And then you're given an opportunity to say yes or no, or that kind of thing. Yeah. What do you think, Anne?
Well, I'm really intrigued that he had the guts to use concert tickets as an example, given that I mean, from my point of view, that's one of the most complicated e-commerce endeavors you can imagine, right? Like, what would having this convenience and like potentially the like speed and the single focus, what's that going to do for Taylor Swift and Beyonce, right? Like, are their ticket sales just going to all happen? I could imagine it being a mess, and I could also imagine it being wonderful to not have to allocate so much of your life and your emotional energy to trying to buy concert tickets. So I could see how that would be very appealing. And I can also see how when I'm buying concert tickets, I'm very happy to be upsold. Like, I go in there and I'm like going to buy the cheapest seats, right? And then I see the other ones, and then I see the other ones, and I always spend about twice as much as I plan on. Then we have great seats and we have wonderful experience. Like, and I'm like, well spent. But if I tell my agent for real, you can't spend more than $250. Now I'm going to get the crappy tickets that I said that I wanted, which are not the tickets that I actually wanted. So it gets complicated, and I'm impressed that he chose concert tickets as a use case, because it's just a really complicated thing. It's not like going and buying shoes.
Yeah. So here's the one piece that I wanted to just quickly mention is, the one is, imagine, let's say, a really popular concert. So we'll give Taylor Swift one. If you had an agent, that is much faster than any just person typing, right? So you will get tickets.
Yeah,
you'll get essentially you'll get the tickets that you wanted, not the tickets that you were upsold, but you will get the tickets that you wanted much faster. Thing is, what happens if everyone has an agent? I wonder how.
That's what I was saying. Yeah,
the speed of everyone getting the tickets on that. So sorry, Jimmy. Like, that's the first thing came to mind.
No, it's a good point, because there is, more than a couple of different events that I'm interested in, but I can never get tickets to, mainly because everyone is right there on the computer, ready to click the button as soon as the green light goes up. So while I think the transitional period between some people having agents and not some people having agents will be a great, win for those who have the agents, I think everyone will have it, and then it'll just go back to what it's going through. But I wanted to highlight a part of what you were talking about, Anne, is the shopping experience, right? For me, I am a very direct shopper. I do my research. I know exactly what I want, and then I go buy it. Things like Amazon, the Amazon app, like on the phone, I can easily find what I'm looking for, put it in the cart, and go. If it comes to consistent things, like, let's say, use Amazon for grocery shopping too, right? The fresh something, you can set certain of those things up with automations to purchase every few months, or every week, or whatever your schedule is, and we can see that with other purchasing things like Costco, Instacart, and those kinds of features. Now, this doesn't count for the non-data days, the non-consistent purchases. There's a lot of talk about how some of the features are try on this dress, or try on these pants, and with AI now, that becomes far easier. are we looking at a completely different take on what the shopping experience will be? Because I know lots of people like to shop for the whole experience. That, in brick and mortar days, that was going out, trying on the different things, getting input, and then finally making your purchase. And you know and something, especially with something with clothes or fashion, that I think is going to be, a little more entrenched than other products. And then on the other side of things, it's just a matter of whatever's cheapest, if it's good enough. So I'm wondering, is the shopping experience of going shopping going to be gone, or will it only just be minorly adjusted? Are we Is it a matter of speed and convenience? Um, or is there something inherent about uh, going through the process of finding the perfect fit or finding that perfect item, which is something to still be hanging on to? Or is that only going to be like super niche and minor now? Because if that percentage of the actual experience is very important to people, or for a large amount of people, that's something that needs to be addressed, because agents can't necessarily provide that particular experience. Though, having a concierge who tells me, like, you look fantastic in that, Jermaine, this thing's perfect for you, because it's all personalized, maybe that's where the change is. So I'm less trying to look at it from pure economics, pure financial, pure sales, and more from, is there still any fun in the shopping, or is it just functional?
See, this is where I think your always with you agent, like your personal chief of staff kind of agent, starts to have the play. And I don't think we're there yet, because I can, this will shock no one, but I prefer my clothing not to be skin tight. So I may be one size in one brand, but I like the size up because it fits me the way I want my clothes to be on my skin. So those kinds of things. And I can imagine that an always on kind of agent would be the one to say, yeah, no, remember, you got that, right? You tried that brand before and you wanted blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the kind of agent that I think starts to be useful for me, right? And in the Instacart thing, right? Like, no, you said substitute with the best available, and that was not a good idea. So make a specific substitution or refund. Those kinds of things for specific food items. And also, Junmi, Stitch Fix exists. Like, those are humans who go shopping for you because that's what they like to do. And you have that conversation of like, hey, this is the kind of look that I'm looking for. These are the kind of fit that I want. This is my budget.
Can I share on that note? One is, I think about, if you're taking your grandchild to FAO Schwartz, that's a much different experience than deciding to use Instacart. However, sadly enough, probably before I get my grandchildren, which is my whole purpose for being on this planet, that will just be a romanticizes, you know what I mean, nostalgic type of shopping. And it may be like a niche experience to go to, the American Girl doll store in Chicago. Like, maybe there's going to be this, like a nostalgic type of shopping experience. But I've noticed something coming up recently, and I'm seeing it more and more. It could be the algorithm, but toward the end of my career in-house, I started shopping with this brand called LaFleur. And one of their points of differentiation is you get a personal shopper. So I mean, they interview you, we go through everything, all the brands, all the sizes, everything you like. And then every so often she touches base with you and she says, okay, the season has changed in Oregon a little bit. We have a new thing. Do you want to hop on a call and I'll share it with you? That was bliss for me, because it's the worst. I don't like shopping on the internet. I don't like shopping in person either. I don't like shopping, period. Now, I've noticed that like there's a woman on TikTok who you subscribe to her for, I want to say it's like I don't know, maybe like $1,800 a year, and you meet with her every month. You do a closet clean out, you develop your style language, you do all this stuff, and then she either goes shopping for you or she tells you, here's what you need. So that's very, very different. And I wonder if this is another example of like the rise of the small business, the niche, the gig workers, the gig economy, the, subject matter experts in a specific area, and that this will create opportunities potentially also specifically for women, because whether it's, who knows, chicken or the egg, but we're the ones who are thought to be like the main shoppers of the household stuff. So it could create some opportunities.
Then that makes me cringe a little bit, because AI's understanding of women and representation of women is a tiny, tiny little portion, right? Like I probably could now with Aleph and Nano Banana, but for a really long time I couldn't get my face generated. Like, this is my face, put me in this environment without makeup and jewelry on, because that was how women showed up in all environments. I must have forgotten with the image that I brought. So I'm like, I like where you're going, and that makes me more concerned, because is the expectation that if you're a woman, you should fit in these pretty narrow things. If the retailer is in charge of it, sell them whatever they would like to pay for, right? But then that gets to
I think, like, from an e-commerce perspective, I think we don't want to just look at just the shopping experience, which is going to be a big deal, but also think about, I just thought about, I have to wake up, I don't know, around 4:45 sometimes. And I'm usually up in about 30 minutes anyway, but to get my daughter into swimming lessons. So there is that type of e-commerce purchase where you have to certain things that you kind of have to do, whether it's booking your camping, swimming, right? Like, these kind of purchases that most people wouldn't think of shopping, but you do a lot of online transactions for that. And I think from an agent perspective, now it hasn't really worked 100% because it's not 100% reliable. So I'm not just going to allow agent mode to, hey, on Thursday or whatever, I want you to go out and book swimming for my daughter at this level. And then I worry that I'll get back, yeah, I booked swimming, 4 swimming lessons at the level, like 2 levels down or 3 levels up, and you're like, no, that's not was in the instructions, but now we're stuck with it and I can't really do anything. It's like there's one thing when you're shopping for clothing, but there's another thing when you're trying to book something, and let's say if you go camping and it books you the wrong site for the wrong days, where you're like, hey, there's much more higher level of risk than certain other things. So I feel like the initial forays are going to be like the smaller risk, and then as you get more reliable, it's like, oh, okay, this can actually do it really well. Now I'm going to go into the camping, the swimming, the things that have more impact. And then like the concert tickets, that's interesting because it'll get you tickets, but will it get you the right tickets? And most likely, like, there's a more if you put more limits and constraints on it, it's probably the better. But if there's way more options, I'm thinking you increase the likelihood of getting something wrong.
Well, this also goes back to what they learned about online dating when online dating sites first came up, right? Like, who are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for these people, and actually, you're not. When we showed you those people, you don't want to do anything with any of those people, right? And then you had maybe eHarmony. You started to have sites like, okay, we're going to do a profile. We're going to ask you some questions, do a profile. We think we're going to be better at matching you with someone who's going to be compatible for you than your description of what will be compatible for you. And so there's a funky pendulum in this, right? Because you can't, like, again, if we go back to clothes or the concert, I don't want you to get me the tickets to the concert you think I want. I know that I want to go to that concert, right? But
well, going back to the dating analogy there, and I keep going back to this, where the CEO of Bumble, like several months ago, was talking about a dating concierge for you, right? It's like, oh, you'll have a dating concierge that will then talk to your, either your profile or your, and then kind of figure all that out. Well, that has all the business implications, right? It's like, and maybe in a concert ticket example, maybe for the swimming or camping example, it's your agent going in and connecting with the site agent, and that's where you have that interaction. Because if you leave it up to your agent may not have all the context, but then the site agent will bring that context. But that's a completely, again, back to the infrastructure question. I haven't seen, nor have I heard anyone building an agent to agent focus rather than a human to our site agent and then you use it, versus, hey, our site will connect with your agent to make that experience well. And that's, I don't know when that field is coming, but that's an inevitability. I think that would just make more sense when more people start using agents more and more and more.
Well, there was a video of, and I know we showed it. Maybe we showed it on the Sci-Fi AI show, where there was an agent calling a hotel to make a reservation, and the hotel agent answered the thing, and they basically did, "Are you an agent? Am I an agent?" And then like flipped into agent language, right? Like, so like we may not know that may be happening, but we may not know about it because it's just a more efficient way of communication between two things that are communicating rather than a full programmatic intention.
Junmi, can I just say like a 30-second thing?
Oh, go ahead.
So last night we were driving. So I'm driving from Oregon to drop my son off at Cotwell my son, my second born, my last, is going to college right now. We're on the ride down here. So we were like, okay, well, let's stop in like an hour and a half. So I book a hotel. Like, keep in mind, it's an hour. It was like 9 p.m. It's an hour and a half from now. I know exactly what town it's supposed to be in, yada, yada. Supposed to book the hotel for this night, so we have somewhere to sleep. I booked it for tomorrow. So could an agent be that bad compared to leaving it to me? So I come in here and I have to like sweet talk the person into letting me stay in the wrong night and blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm going to guess an agent can go on Expedia and get me the ticket to the hotel for the right night. So for some of these things, I'm going to say, have at it.
Well, that's actually a good point, because if we remember what the video was talking about and the Visa guy was talking about was emphasizing the concept of trust, right? Because this is going to be the big component of moving forward, is when people can trust in the process, trust in the agents making correct decisions, things like that. And while on the surface that does look like, I mean, that's important, right? You want to be able to trust in the processes and systems that you're using, but it for the longer term, a trustless system is probably where we want to move forward to. Not needing trust is probably the better long-term solution, because having a trustless system means you know every step of the way what's happening, and this might be the transitional period, or the transitional gap. We talk about often how when new technologies introduced, there's a gap between the understanding, or societal choices and decisions, and the technological capabilities, and so there's that adjustment gap. And this could be that transition from the traditional usage of the web, traditional usage of online services, and everything that we do and interact with, and offloading that to agents. So there's going to be that gap or transitional period. Not exactly sure how long that's going to take, because even now the level of AI use and AI literacy is extremely low, right? The adoption is fairly slow to reach certain mainstream levels. Development, and in certain circles, vast advancements, things like that.
What is trustless?
So a trustless system, think, let's see, what's the best example? When you're doing a transaction between, like, say, your credit card and a service, you trust that the credit card and the service can communicate, and your whatever store of value you have with that credit card or debit card or bank is communicating with the service, and there's an exchange there, and that exchange or that transfer is trusted between those 2 points. A trustless system would think more, I guess the easiest example would be maybe like blockchain. Blockchain's a trustless system, right? It's decentralized. It's not only the beginning point and the end point that you have to trust that the transaction goes through. It's verified by everybody else that actually happened, right?
It's verified by everybody else, but only understood by a tiny portion of people.
This is true. This is true, and and that goes back to the whole technological gap and things like that. But in terms for Visa, having it only really works for them because they're a payment processor, right? Everybody trusts Visa's credit card when they put in the number with a vendor that it's going to go through the purchases made, and then they'll see it on their statement in a couple of weeks. Now, that's all part of the Visa system. They're the ones doing all the thousands of transactions, per second and things like that. But on a trustless system, it's not just Visa, right? Visa is probably probably the largest player in the payments world, right? So they have a vested interest to build this trust with their agents and their offerings to tie it in with existing systems. So you'll definitely see a solution from them, but definitely locking into their own systems. It, like, when the early days of the internet, you would look for the little badges that said accredited by Better Business Bureau, all of those kinds of things, because giving your credit card information was not trusted, because you're putting all of your data out there. You're putting all your credit card information into a form, and it goes out into the ether. But now, 20 something years later of mainstream internet, and no one bats an eye, right? They've built up that trust as part of the system. And I think that's the kind of thing that he's highlighting, is they want to build that for the agentic era.
On that note, I just wanted to take a little bit of a break from our conversation and allow Anne to promo what we talked about today. I'm just going to share a little bit of the screen if I can find it. There it is. Anne, I'll let you take this away.
Thank you. First of all, I'm loving this conversation. Thanks for having me today, and it's good to see everybody in the chat, the regulars and the newbies as well. Yeah, so She Leads AI, we're hosting our inaugural conference October 11th through 14th. So this is like, you know, we went all in, we're swinging for the fences. My kids say, aim for the moon, fall among the stars. So it's an inaugural conference. It's been a fascinating process. And one of the things that we've learned is that our sponsors will indeed step up just for the mission. So I approached this thinking, well, let's see, we're all grown-ups, we're all business people, right? So sponsors, they need to know click-through rates, conversion rates, the number of impressions, all this stuff. Well, I don't have that because it's the inaugural. So our sponsors have been stepping up just for the mission, and now we have scholarships for women of color. So between $250 and $997 based on what the person wants or needs. We have a form that takes 4 to 5 minutes to fill out, 4 to 5 minutes to fill out. Everybody's guaranteed to have whatever level of scholarship they're interested in. And we have a free pre-conference. We're going to have fun. It's going to be chill. We're also going to really stretch our brains. We're going to get training on advocacy. So most of us weren't born knowing how to talk to legislators about AI policy. So we're going to get training on that. Lots and lots of very practical sessions. We're going to do a tabletop ethics exercise that will hurt our brains so much. These ethical decisions that we have to make, now that we've never faced before. So we're hopeful that folks will take advantage of the scholarship opportunity, and please share with your friends, because getting the word out is it's not as easy because of the algorithm. So we need help getting this information into different communities. So please do share this. And for everyone, we have a discount code of Kick Down Doors for $250 off at checkout. And we have the cheap hotel block. So it's all coming together. We just didn't know that it was all going to come together. Here we are. We're like 5 weeks out, and it's all coming together. So thanks for those in the chat who can share this with their friends, or if you do identify as a woman of color, please do apply. We'd be delighted to have you. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much. Part of this conversation, I wanted to bring it back a little bit to, there was a client of ours, and it was a very interesting request, because she was an administrator, and she said, something that it annoys me to no end is I have to go out and for major board meetings and significant meetings in the company, we have to go out and get catering. And in terms of catering, our team always gets inundated with, hey, can we get Thai? Can we get Indian? Can we get whatever? And we're always scrambling. And I thought, and this conversation just made me think about, well, imagine if your agent said, hey, you know what? I need this from the meal, this time. Then that person no longer has to, because that's a lot of work. Like if you think about, she was explaining, I have to call this, can they serve this many people? These are the allergies, these are whatever it is, right? And it's like, yes, no, and then you have to keep going. It's like, can your agent go out and do that and come back with you? Here's the options. These are what this can do, this can do, this can do. And what do you want me to do? And then even if you go out and make the final call, that agent alone saves you a lot of time. And if it can make the call, right? We all talk about, there's so much about AI agents taking the call, but can it call on your behalf and do some of those tasks? Hey, does it do this? Sometimes we don't think about that kind of stuff enough, but there's a lot of those kind of activities happening.
Yeah. Being able to blame the agent would be sweet in that scenario. You're like, the agent said it's Thai food this week, you guys. Sorry. Talk to the agent.
Or
Let's do that.
it got sandwiches instead of Thai food. Like, how come it keeps giving us sandwiches? It's
Cold
like,
sandwiches for everybody forever.
it's not my fault. This is agent. So it's like, just keep giving the sandwiches. So that's all we got.
What about the data that people will be giving away at even a faster rate than we are right now?
Mhm.
Well, that is a very good question, and kind of leads me to there needs to be a much larger conversation on data rights, things like that, and determining its actual commodification. Right? We have been saying that data has the new gold, the new oil, all of that kind of thing. But we have not identified uh, the inherent or root owner of that data, right? So that I think is going to be a much larger conversation. It does not. I'm going to use that word again. It does not behoove the incumbent large tech companies to want to um, see that there is a inherent data right from those who create it, and those who create it are us, are the people. Every click we make, every decision we do online, every website we go to, all of that is us. We do that, right? So is there because it has value, is there an inherent right to it? And I understand it might be a complex and nuanced discussion about having to go through that process. Then just like any other right, we have to discuss what the licensing would be and all of that. On the other side of that conversation is some are saying that there's all data and all information should be open and exchanged, and that way it has all the same value. I'm not exactly sure if that's going to fly either, and so it'll probably be some mix of that. But within this context, and I think it becomes a matter of, in the early days, I'm sure it'll all fall under how much concern people have individually, right? There's only so many steps that you can take to safeguard your data, safeguard the information that you transfer. But every single major system out there now is collecting all of it. So in the immediate time period, I think it's a matter of awareness and seeing if people want to make the effort to identify, oh, hey, this is ours. We created it. You can use it based on these, parameters. But for right now, that I don't think that is the concern of most people when it comes to agents using their information, their contact points, and generating new data from the actions that their agents are taking, for them.
No, right? I mean, even after it came out that the like, which Muppet would you be, take the quiz thing on Facebook was profiling you, like, and the data went to get aggregated. And then you got shown things that might change your behavior because you chose this Muppet and that was your that 70s show, right? Like those were all pieces of data collection. And even after people knew, they're like, I want to know what Muppet I'm going to be. Right. And people just didn't have a sense of how influenceable we are. Like, I feel like we're really far away from subliminal advertising is bad. And like, you don't have to be subliminal anymore. You could just like make a really good profile, right? And that, then that, are we moving? And I see you about to have a thought, and I would love to hear it. Are we then moving to, hey, I can cancel this order, but I just want you to know that I bought the Swifty sweater that you've been talking about. Would you like me to continue it? Right? Like, I have the order. I've made the order. And for a Swifty, probably the answer is yes, but where, like, then where is that slippery slope? Because this for me is Amazon. Amazon has been doing this for a while. It just doesn't already buy it for you. But it does say, I think you're out of crackers, Beth. Don't you want more?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, no, if I want more, I would buy more, buddy. It's like you're profiling me incorrectly. And what was that thought? Ooh, and we can't hear you. Why? No. No.
Uh-oh.
The system does wild things. There you are. No? Somebody was laughing.
No.
Okay.
Oh,
Now,
and now Carl's muted, but Carl,
pumping
you're muted on the
Oh,
system.
okay. I'm really muted. Okay. I think, hey, Anne, I think you need to drop the stream and come back, because that's the only way to fix that.
that's pulling a Carl, actually.
Yeah, that is totally pulling a Carl. So
Right.
no, I think when we talk about data, the thing that also it opens the door is, OpenAI's announcement yesterday for developers in terms of the actual developer mode and enabling unverified MCPs into ChatGPT. Because, for the longest time, you couldn't actually put in, like, for example, Zapier's MCP, which opens everything up, but now you do. But that also, there's so many, if you look at prompt injections and unverified MCP servers, like when you talk about the shopping experience, that has to, or the e-commerce experience, that has to come into it, because it isn't maybe just agents, but it could be your large language model being like, you know what, I need Claude or ChatGPT to go into Amazon or the swimming site, camping site, collect all that data for me, not necessarily to take action, but more so still agentic, give me all that information so I'll take action. So there's that pathway that you could also take, right? So it's like, hey, I'm doing multiple things. I just want my agent to go out and extract that information for me so I can make the decision, right? And then that's agent as well. It just won't take the final piece. And I thought, like, from a security side, that's the same thing too, right? Whether it's a prompt injection in an MCP, or will your agent, I'm sure there's something where it comes back with your agent, I don't know, coming back with something from different sites that is not, it's a threat to your site or whatnot. Sorry, Anne, are you?
That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay. What happened, it switched over to a microphone that is 700 miles away at my house. So whatever. I was going to bring up the example of period trackers. So when period trackers hit the scene, it was like, thank goodness, now we didn't have to write it down anymore. Now we weren't worried about what was going on with our cycle. And it was seen to be this, like, wonderful thing, of course. It's hard to imagine many more intimate grouping of personal data. So now you take the period, of course, when Roe was overturned, many people immediately went and removed their period trackers, of course, but also a lot of people still think of it as like this wonderful convenience. And if you think about it sort of from a gender equity perspective, like anything that makes dealing with your reproductive health easier and less and friction free, particularly for women, is a good thing. However, now you connect your period tracker to your shopping agent. And so cool beans, you're going to get your tampons and blah, 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 like every 28 days, right? You don't even have to think about it anymore. You're going to get the best deal on them. And we all think it's bullshit that we have to pay all this money for feminine hygiene products. So you're like, yeah, that's awesome. But think about how easy it would be for all of that data that's now been reinforced in all these different data points to say to the government, for example, it's not unrealistic anymore, unfortunately, that the government would know when we stopped having our period. Then the government would know how many months. The government would know if all of a sudden we started having our period again in 3 months instead of 10 months. So this acceleration of giving away our data is something that I don't think 12-year-old girls and their moms are going to be thinking about that. They're thinking of, boy, it would be really good to know when the period's coming. Like, I don't know. It's a brave new world, and we have to do consumer education somehow.
But that also, in addition to that, I mean, we can talk about any type of health issue, right? Any type of personal whatever, right? So like, here's another thing too, is like, in terms of predisposition, because there's a lot of AI tools or research being done in how to prevent whatever health, based on your history, based on all the data that you're collecting, Apple Watch, medical reports, and so on. And then the impact of that, where, hey, this person is predisposed for this, right? And you can probably go down the insurance route. This person be insured, this person's not. High risk, whatever. But then does your health, so when you talk about period tracker, but that could mean colon health, brain health,
yes, brain health, anything
of thing. How do you want that out there? So there's the balance, because it's always going to be convenience versus your data, right? And now with an agent, let's say, hey, buying for you all the different things that you need, right? So it's like, if someone, say, I think my dad has gout. Okay, well, these are the things that you need to buy. So he has to get that medicine every whatever month. Or somebody else has, a different type of whatever it is. So where does that lie? Because it isn't, maybe it's not even your data, it's what you're buying. So it's like, oh, this type of medicine is for this type of thing. So obviously that person or someone in that household has this, right? And I'm sure Amazon already tracks all this. They all have that data. But now from an agent to agent perspective, what does that mean even more so if you're going to enable that level of autonomy for your agent and for your AI?
Well, this has been happening. I'm trying to remember, it was a news story about Target, I believe. And Target, it was aggregating the data together. So Target started to give maybe coupons for pregnancy tests or something like that, because the buying habits of this person started to look like this person. And what they bought before they were pregnant, right?
Yeah.
And
if you buy a candle and you buy like a bath bomb, you're probably pregnant.
So we're just going to give you hey, you want a coupon for a pregnancy test? I'm like, I didn't think I was. Why do you know? Target, right? Like, what the hell? But there's also, sorry. There's also a piece of this that when we say, the government has access to this, the government is, at least in the US, is notorious for not understanding how bodies work. So it's dangerous to be making conclusions based on behavior that doesn't mean what pop culture thinks it means, right? So for anyone listening who doesn't know that there are other reasons a woman might not have her period for 3 months, other than that she was pregnant and got an abortion, let this be your wake-up call, right? Like there are tons of reasons for that. So that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we can, there's so many angles that we can go with this. And we can be here for hours. And I know some of our people in our stream would love for us to be here for hours. But just to wrap up today's show, I just want to give one final, I guess, last final thoughts on what we're talking about today. Or are we? Maybe, Anne, you have one final thing because you're one of our special guests today.
Let's see. Yeah, I think more than ever, we need to start, it needs to be like a common household conversation about what's happening with our personal data. Kind of like we teach kids how to get out of the house in an emergency, or like stop, drop, and roll, or whatever. This is so important, and it's not part of the zeitgeist. It's not what people talk about. I didn't even think about the privacy of my data until I got into AI stuff, and I was like, that could be a problem. So somehow getting these conversations around the kitchen table and making it and normalizing being kind of a prude about where your data is going, maybe it's okay to not want to put your data every single place in the world. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right. So that's what I got.
All right. Thanks a lot, Anne. Thanks, Junmi and Beth. And thanks for everyone in joining us live today. Remember, if you want to take this conversation even further, please join the Daily AI Show Community Hub. And if you want to keep getting the latest news, trends, and amazing discussions, obviously like and subscribe on YouTube on your favorite podcast, and give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform. Tomorrow we have our regular recaps, reframes, and rabbit holes. Is that correct? Tomorrow. Keep joining us, and also please subscribe to the newsletter where we talk about even more things related to AI. All right, that's it for today's show. Thank you, everyone, and Junmi, take us away.
Aloha.